Satnam, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Jai Gobind, and this is your channel for grace. Thank you guys so much for being here live, and thank you to those of you that are watching the replay. Excited to be here today on Monday evening, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, to talk about the astrology of the week and to also do a tarot and oracle reading within the Akashic Records for the week ahead to see what is the message for us from our spirit guides, our angels, and our teachers. So if you are here watching this live, say hello in the chat. I love the live chat interaction. Please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. Also, you can download my free moon astrology guide, which will tell you what your psychic gifts are based off of your moon sign. It also enters you into my email list, and I send out a weekly moon magic report that goes out every Wednesday morning. And I say morning because morning-ish, because it's 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. But either way, you get the astrology for the week ahead in written form. And it's also like an announcement. It's also a newsletter of what events are coming up, what broadcasts did you miss for the week, and if there's any classes or courses coming up soon, you will know in that newsletter. And people love getting that in their inbox. Hello, Courtney. Hello, Anastasia. Welcome in, guys. Thank you for being here. And also, this past week, we begun our Step Astrology course with Christopher Witecki. I'm so excited to be a student, to learn Step Astrology, and also to partner in a way with him with this class. If you are wanting to learn a very beautiful, powerful, and embodied way of looking at astrology through the degrees, then this class is going to be amazing. It's going to be mind-blowing. And so far already, with the classes that we've watched, that we had 2 lectures last week, I definitely feel like the rest of the class, I have more questions in a good way, and I can't wait to learn more about my specific chart and also looking at other people's charts, because I'm going to learn how to do that in the professional class. There's 2 different options. You can do the personal or the professional, and you're essentially learning how, you know, the step system correlates to manifesting or materializing in the world. What do each of the degrees mean? And this is something that is not necessarily, so it's not that big. You know, we know deacons and things like that, but when you look at actual degrees, like what does 0 degree represent, what does 1 degree represent, and things like that, through the astrology, we get a much more in-depth perspective of like where we're at, what we chose, you know, to embody in terms of all these different understandings of what the numbers represent. So there's a little bit of numerology, there's a little bit of like math, and it's just really cool. And there's a discount. You can use my code below in the description. It's Jai Love. And when you sign up for the class, whether you do the personal A and B or just one or the other, you can get that discount by signing up below. So check it out. It's actually been really fun so far, and hopefully you also feel called to study with us. Hello, Mishan. Welcome in. Hello, Robin. Welcome in. So let's go right into the astrology. So I'm going to share. Hello, Rebecca. I'm going to share the screen here. So this is basically the astrology chart of right now, I believe. Yes. Okay. So this is the exact moment of right now. So we have the sun at 7 degrees of Leo. And essentially, we're going to cover the days leading up to Sunday for this week and see what's kind of the general theme of the week and what we can expect. So, of course, we just entered into Leo season, and it's always nice to have some kind of perspective when you're coming, you know, from the last week into this week. We had a big week last week. We had the sun entering into Leo season beginning. Then a couple days later, we had the exact new moon in Leo. We had really important aspects. And this week is kind of that story continues on. So I wanted to also cover the gene keys that the sun is going to be passing through. We'll get to that in a minute. But essentially, we've got a new theme in terms of the gene keys. We have a couple of important aspects to cover. And let's just go forward in time. So we are here on the 28th. We can see the moon is in Virgo, getting ready to enter Libra. And this is a moon that's in its crescent phase. Actually, I saw, hello, Jeanette. I saw the crescent moon last night in the sky, and it was so freaking beautiful. I don't know if you guys have had a chance. We live out here in the desert, so like the stars is all we see at night. It's amazing. And that crescent moon was so bright and beautiful. But there, but she was making a conjunction to the South Node in the last, day or so. So that can bring up some karmic situations to be, released and seen and worked through. So we've got Moon with the South Node and Mars, and it's also crescent phase. So we're going to start to see some of the energy of the new moon that is essentially setting an intention to start to kind of sprout, because this is the crescent moon phase is when the seeds begin to sprout, and the seeds were seeded last week. So we're feeling the sprout this week with this crescent moon. So there might be some revelations that that show up. So we've got July 20, that was the 28th, which was today. Then we get to tomorrow, which is July 29th. And again, the moon will be passing into in Libra. So it'll change signs. So we're looking at Virgo, Libra, and then Scorpio is going to be the 3 signs that the moon passes through. It'll enter into Sag towards the end of the week, though. So we have Moon in Libra, which brings in balance, the focus of balance and harmony in terms of our emotions. And we continue moving. And then on the 30th, which is Wednesday, is when we see the first sort of big aspect of the week. And it is Chiron going retrograde. Chiron's going to go retrograde at 27 degrees of Aries. And because it is one of the slower planets, this is a theme where it's going to be a while for the retrograde, like a few months. And during the retrograde with Chiron, we're looking into aspects of ourselves. I say ourselves because Chiron is in Aries. So we're looking at aspects of ourselves. We're going to begin the journey of healing wounds, deep wounds that have kept us from being confident, being courageous, accepting our journey, freeing ourselves. Because at 27 degrees of Aries is an Andromeda stargate. So we're talking the liberation of the soul is the big theme of this. So you can see right there, if we look at Venus, she's at 29 degrees of Gemini. And on this same day, though, she actually enters into Cancer. So we see her a few hours after Chiron goes retrograde, just like 3 hours after, she enters into Cancer. So we have, those are the 2 big things of the week. Chiron retrograde, we enter a reflection period of wounding patterns and healing wounds, like taking care of our wounds, but like healing them truly, not just putting a band-aid on it, but actually going within and asking yourself, like, in which ways are you not being courageous? In which ways are you not connecting? This week too, you can see, it's not exact, but you can see that Saturn and Neptune are pretty much conjunct at 1 degree. And that's a big deal because they're both retrograde now. So the other theme that's happening is like the retrogrades are coming in, little by little. Like first it was, Saturn, then it was Neptune, then it was, Chiron, and Mercury went retrograde, on the 17th. So all these retrogrades are coming in. And so when we enter into like the period in the astrology where there's a lot of retrogrades, things tend to feel a little bit more internal, more reflective. And so a lot of the things not necessarily happening so much on our outer environment, but happening more in an inner environment. So we're looking to free ourselves. We are then entering with Venus into Cancer, a time of nurturing, which I love because Venus represents what we truly desire. And in Cancer, we desire the nurturing, the love, the love of the mother. And Cancer is the sign of the moon. So it's like emotional as well. But Venus values this realm of home and family and nurturing. So that's what she's calling us to connect with. And there's going to be a really powerful conjunction between Venus and Jupiter on the Sirius Stargate, which is the high priestess, goddess Isis, like being at our best, the hairline moon center, the moon goddess. So she enters into the realm of the moon goddess. And that is really beautiful because she likes being in this place. This is the sacred feminine. We're reminded of the nurturing energy of the sacred divine feminine, and that comes in as Chiron goes retrograde, which I love because it's like, okay, you're going to go through this, you're going to start really feeling all these retrogrades now. But for now, for this time being, I'm going to remind you of the power of emotions, to heal emotions, to process emotions. And this is all about stepping into emotional intelligence. Really, Cancer is the highest vibrational frequency of Cancer is emotional intelligence. So she enters this place, and yes, things can get a little emotional, but the bigger perspective here is that she's inviting us into the realm of like nurturing ourselves, nurturing others, and seeing all the ways where we may not be nurturing ourselves, and then actually doing that or focusing on that. And that's a big theme with essentially Jupiter there, who is the biggest planet in astrology. So that's why it is a significant aspect that is happening this week. So then we get to the next day, or the 31st. Also, I will say this. The 31st, 1st, 2nd, and 3rd are the days out of time. So we're getting really close. Like we're gonna talk about some stargates here. We're getting really close to the heliacal rising of the Sirius star. This is why the conjunction between Venus and Jupiter on Sirius, which is later on this month, is a huge deal, because it's happening at the time where we're getting ready for the Lion's Gate, right? So 8/8 is usually the Lion's Gate. That date specifically is not significant in the sense that the actual date is significant, but what's happening is significant, is that right around August, we see the heliacal rising of the Sirius star, and it rises with the sun. And that marks the beginning of the ancient Atlantean year. And so in the ancient Atlantean year, there's 360 days. We also have the day out of time through the lens of the Mayan calendar, which is slightly different. I follow the Atlantean one, obviously, because that's what I've studied. And it's, this is what Matthias Stefano has taught, and he's one of my biggest teachers. So we have 360 days followed by 5 days out of time. And in those 5 days out of time, which start on July 30th, the day that Chiron goes retrograde and Venus enters Cancer, and then we have two planets at 0 degrees, Uranus and Venus, they celebrate the 4 Platonic solids. And the 4 Platonic solids are basically the sacred geometry of life. And each Platonic solid symbolizes something different, a different element, a different frequency. The sacred geometry teaches us that life is multidimensional. And so at this time, we begin to celebrate the multidimensionality of life, of our incarnation here on Earth, and the days out of time, like that we can pause and reset and tune in and heal and release. So that theme begins. And then we're like, the other night, I was looking out at the stars in the morning, and I could see Orion on the horizon closer to like 4 a.m. ish, and between I think it was 4:30 a.m. And I knew that Sirius was going to be coming up after Orion, but then the sun. So literally, it's the time when we start to see again Orion in the sky, but early in the morning in the northern hemisphere, because usually Orion, the Pleiades, Orion, and Sirius are like in this like beautiful alignment in the sky, and you can see them really clearly when the sun goes down during the winter in the northern hemisphere. And then Orion, Pleiades, Orion, and Sirius, they're like they follow each other in the sky. So it's like Orion chases the Pleiades in the mythology. But anyway, so you see they're moving across the sky. And but right now it's like the beginning of that, the coming back, the returning to that story, coming into light again. So this is a significant week. I mean, the days out of time are a big deal. So we start these days out of time. On that day, we see Chiron retrograde, Venus enter Cancer. We're getting close to the heliacal rising of the Sirius star, which is goddess Isis, the ancient Egypt, ancient Atlantis. And then we get to the 31st. And this is the day where Mercury retrograde makes a conjunction to the sun. So every time that Mercury goes retrograde, he always passes over the sun, every time. So that moment is significant. It's called a Kazemi, and it represents the merging of the mind and the heart. Mercury is the mind, the sun is the heart. So these two come together, and it's always like during the retrograde of Mercury, there's some kind of like secret. There's some kind of like message that has the opportunity to come through during the Kazemi with Mercury and the Sun, or the realization of the retrograde, of what the retrograde truly means. And if you think about Mercury, right, and Leo, this is about reflecting on the ways that we are either shying away from shining our light bright, or being in the shadow of that Leo energy, which can be like all ego, no heart. But it's ways that we maybe are afraid of being seen and heard, and ways that we block our creativity, our passion. So merging mind and heart is like maybe you realizing, oh wow, this is how I've been stifling this creativity, and I need to just let this truth, let the voice out. And if you think about it in the lens of the Jinki, which I'll talk about in a second, we're coming out of the 31st, which is where the new moon was, which was the shadow of, trying to remember exactly. It's the shadow of arrogance, right? So it makes sense, right? Like we're working through the shadow of arrogance, learning how to step into leadership and humility. And this is what we're moving out of. And so the one that we're moving into is the 33rd. And at the time of this conjunction, the Sun and Mercury will be on the 33rd. So the 33rd Jinki goes from forgetting to mindfulness to revelation. It's literally described as the final revelation. And Richard says, this gift can turn the whole of our life into a blaze of presence and peacefulness. Retreat does not have to be something we do after we've been in action. The retreat can be in the action itself. That is the gift from heaven. And this one is actually really cool. It's called Heaven Over Mountain, which is like a cool descriptive name from the lens of the I Ching. And it is part of the codon ring of trials, which has to do with the 3 gene keys that make up this codon ring, relate to what science terms stop or terminator codons. So behaving as a seal that closes up the places where we leak energy, such chemical punctuation marks have an unusual role in importance within the totality of the genetic code itself. When activated, this codon ring begins to unplug humanity from the illusory world of the outer senses. On a purely archetypal level, the 3 stop codons of this ring of trials lay out the great dramatic script of evolution itself, testing human beings on the road to self-realization. Every human awakening must arouse the hero or the heroine inside, and that inner being must face its mythical trials. So it's like we are essentially feeling into this story. Like, what's our mythos? How are we passing through these trials of life? And that's what the astrology this week is teaching us, especially with the Sun there and with the conjunction to Mercury there. So it's a big deal. And then we get to August 1st, which is significant because Venus will make squares to Saturn and Mars. And that will bring in a challenge to, heal within the relationship space, to see where there's, discord in a way in relationships, to see where we're facing, this not a duality, but this, like the differences between like action and self-care, like how much are you doing versus how much are you taking care of yourself. And in that way, you can see where you can improve or where you can, make it a little better. So that's significant. But even more significant is the fact that on August 1st is the celebration of Ludnasa. And that is the celebration of the harvest. And it's midsummer. It's like the Midsummer Night's Dream. I always love that name. But it's the middle of the summer. So we're exactly at the halfway point between the summer solstice and the fall equinox. And remember, I'm going to keep reminding you guys, Virgo season is going to be crazy because of the eclipses. So this is the season that's very important for us to like hone in and really feel the height of the summer, or if you're in the southern hemisphere, the height of the winter. Either way, we're right at the midpoint. And that's significant, that it's also the days out of time. And, this in-between space, it's always a portal. Those in-between spaces like hold magic. That's what we celebrate them. Because when we look at the solstices and the equinoxes, they mark the main points, but then the halfway points in between them are the cross-quarter days. They're significant as well. So this is the height of the energy of experimentation through the lens of the Atlantean, right, mythology. You've got expression, experimentation, integration, and transcendence. So experimentation is the summer. So we are fully engulfed in our experiences at this time. And that's something to take into account. Like this is an elevating energy, and not in terms of like elevating consciousness, but just there's a lot going on. Right? Like, especially in the northern hemisphere. In the southern hemisphere, you might feel it's more quiet, right? Because you guys are in the winter, halfway through the winter. But in the northern hemisphere, it's like very loud and vibrant and woo, fire, like Leo, fixed fire. It's a lot there. So it's heightened. There's a lot of activity. So if it's overwhelming, that's like in its naturalness is going to be overwhelming, but we celebrate the midpoint of the summer this Friday, August 1st. And then the moon at this time will be in Scorpio. So remember, it started in Virgo, moves into Libra, and then Scorpio, which dives deep into, the shadow work. And it will be making trines to Venus and Jupiter and even the North Node. So that's a positive thing. But then the next day, Saturday, and then Sunday, it will enter into Sagittarius. And that's like kind of the last big shift is moon in Sag, maybe a little bit more that fire, like a lot of fire energy can feel very passionate, very sometimes overwhelming, a lot of things happening, a lot of action going on, which heightens that energy that I was just talking about. But then the important thing about the moon in Sag and some of the other other degrees this week is it's Centaurus, Stargates, it's Arcturus, Centaurus, and then we have Ophiuchus and Antares Stargate. So there's a lot of Stargate energy this week in terms of the moon. And I focus more Stargates of the moon in the Starseed membership, but I'll just mention those because it's the galactic, right? The moon in especially in Sag, it's galactic, so it feels like, woo, there's a lot of expansiveness more than, because Sagittarius is the fire that expands. Aries is the fire that sparks. Leo is the fire that's fixed, that sustains, and Sag is the fire that expands. So there's a lot of fire this week, especially towards the end of the week. But we're moving through, this Leo season, and that's the story. That's the story of the week. So what I want to do now is do a card reading to tune into the Akashic records and see what the message is for us this week. So I'm going to begin by opening up the records. And while I do this, feel free to tune in. Feel free to ground yourself. And you can also pull cards for yourself, as I'm pulling cards for all of us. Hello, Steve and Lish. Welcome in. All right, here we go. From the deep depths of the cosmic mind, I hear a whisper. This whisper calls us inwards towards our essence. A light begins to glimmer at the center of our heart. This is the light of unity, the all-knowing wisdom of the One. Through this door, we open the gates of the Akashic, the magical flower of life. We see our duality. We recognize our sacred trinity. We begin to witness infinite possibilities as we become the observer and the observed. A powerful and luminescent light engulfs our being, and we feel many dimensions all at once. We enter the Akashic records, protected and loved by all star beings that have accessed these portals before. The records are now open. May wisdom flow. May understanding descend, and may we be blessed with the light of love. So let's pull some cards. You know, the energy has been a little, I mean, I feel like it's been fine, but there's more retrogrades coming, you know? So once the retrogrades start coming, it's like things really do start to feel a little bit like they slow down. So what is the first major theme that we need to know about this week? Okay. So we get the Six of Swords. This is kind of like our jumping off point. We're definitely moving in a new direction. That's what this card says. This is about, you know, yes, moving away from the past, but moving away from the choppy waters to the calm waters. So I think we're in the process of, excuse me, we're in the middle of the movement. We're on the boat. We're making our way, which tells me like, okay, interesting. 'Cause like we just left, Cancer season, right? So it's like, so this also can be like, well, we haven't quite left the water energy yet, but we're on our way. You know, maybe if it's like, wait, well, the delayed effect of like moving forward can show up as we're still in it a little bit, although we're moved on, but it kind of can still feel like we're still in that Cancer season. That's how I would read that, really. But we're looking for more stability. That's the direction of the Six of Swords, is towards more stability. The challenge this week, the Seven of Cups. So the challenge is, well, for one, I feel like this is that square with Venus and Neptune and Saturn. It can feel there's confusion, there's fog. This is lack of clarity. This is like so much going on. It could also mean like I don't know what to decide. There's, you know, it's overwhelming. So it can feel uncomfortable because that energy of confusion and overwhelm and lack of clarity is like obviously not fun. So our challenge is to like, as we feel these energies arriving, as we feel like the lack of clarity, the confusion, is how can you stay grounded through that? Where can you find like things in life that essentially bring in that groundedness? Or how can you anchor yourself through it, or just be with it? And there's no need to change what's happening if it's confusing. Just wait for the clarity to arrive. Just like you would if you had like emotional authority, right? You wouldn't take action. You would wait for that to arrive. So I'm feeling 3 cards coming out next, which is really interesting because we have the overall theme. This is an interesting overall theme. So we get 9 of Cups. So whenever I see this card, I always feel like, just remember how much work you've already done. Like, use the skills that you have. Be proud of yourself. Like, you know, what are you proud of in yourself? And then we get the 8 of Swords. And this card actually was reversed when it came out. So I'll hold this like this, but it just means it's time to, like, we need to let go of the mental patterns, the belief systems. And I think we are doing the work. We're freeing ourselves, right? 6 of Swords, 8 of Swords reversed. Like it's happening, you know, we're using the tools we have to free ourselves. And it's a mental free. Like, so this would be Mercury conjunction with the sun, the Kazemi with the sun. With Mercury, and then we get the Chariot. So after we have like released ourselves, like this is definitely, especially with these other 2 cards coming out with it together, you're ready to embark on a new journey. So the next card is basically going to tell us what is the new journey, but it's like you're ready, you're prepared, you got everything you need, you got your armor, you got your chariot, you've got your freaking sword, you've got your everything that you need. You're ready. Like, you graduated, and okay, it's now you graduated, and you're like out in the real world, and the story actually begins. And part of that is like you've graduated from freeing yourself from the mind, the trap, the prison of the mind that we sometimes create for ourselves, the illusion of trappedness, and we're ready for what comes. What comes? That is the next question. So let's see. what are we ready for? Where is our chariot going to take us? Shuffle, shuffle, shuffle. Let's see. Oh, okay. Oh, wow. Interesting. Victory. Victory. As plain as day. The celebration. I love that because this card is also a Wands card, and we are in the season of fire. Victory. It's as simple as that. And the animal that guides us. Wait, we got this last week. Interesting. The tiger. Follow through with confidence to reach your goals and let your heart guide you. When you need help successfully reaching your goals, tiger is one of the most confident guides you can count on. This fearless animal knows how to walk with a relaxed sense of confidence, knowing there is nothing that can stop it. Yes, I love this. Is good. This is why the victory. Let this be a reminder to continue moving towards your goals and dreams without hesitation. Keep your eye on the prize and do not let any distractions interrupt you. Do not let fear, doubt, or anxiety limit you in any way. Let your heart guide you. Sun, Mercury, Kazemi, and your instincts will follow. You'll know exactly what to do as you trust yourself and allow your confidence to lead you towards the completion of your goals. Feel the excitement and know that challenges are only a part of the journey. The real victory. Wow, I love when these things coincide. The real victory lies ahead. What? And the stamina. And you have the stamina and determination to see it all the way through. Okay. That is a very positive message, you guys. Yes. Rebecca says, hear me roar. Yeah. Oh my God. So that was really beautiful. That was like confirmation to us. That was like a nice like reminder, like, hey, just keep going. Just keep moving forward, you know? If you feel stuck, like just keep moving forward. There's movement, right? 6 of Swords. Like we are moving forward. We're not stuck. We're moving forward. We may not have full clarity right now, but we need to trust like we've got this, we got the tools we need to heal, to clear our minds, to like let go, like release the illusion of you being trapped. Because in reality, you're not trapped. But that was the key, and you did that. And so now you're using your tools to like get ready for the next journey. Like the chariot is going to take us somewhere this week, and that is towards our victory. So we just need to remember, like, keep our eye on the prize. That's why don't get distracted. Don't forget. That's the shadow of the 33rd. Don't forget why you're doing what you're doing, right? Mindfulness is the gift, because there's a revelation that has the potential of coming through to us this week. And that revelation is going to happen when Mercury and the Sun conjunct on the 31st, which is the second day out of time. During the days out of time, we receive a revelation. Boom. That was amazing. Okay, this is good. This is good. I'm happy. Hello, Rebecca Trina. Welcome in. So this is a really positive message for us. I think we needed to hear it. Yes. So let's close the records. From the deepest depths of our soul, we give gratitude and love, for we understand we are a fractal of that cosmic whole. As we give, so we get, open to all possibilities through all time and space. We walk through the Akashic portal back to our inner space, remembering that this wisdom lives within every cell of our being. Thank you, star beings, for holding this sacred space and for protecting us during this journey through time and space. The records are now closed. Thank you all so much for being a part of this community, and I will see you all again very soon. Join our global community. There's links below to all the offerings, and join our email list. And have an awesome and fun week with the days out of time. Sat Nam. See you next time.